Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, the least surprising whiskey review, I'm sure, for some of you folks out there, and that is Shenks Homestead Bourbon. You know that drill. Run the video. All right then, folks, thank you for joining us on another new and exciting episode of the Whiskey Cove here. Before we get into today's video, if you don't already know, and I'm sure you do by now, but we are getting close to 5,000 subscribers. So what we here at the Whiskey Cove are doing we're doing a free Whiskey Cove giveaway, which includes 6 bottles that you can get for completely nothing. You have to pay postage, you have to pay to enter. 2 things you need to do. You need to be a subscriber, 100%, and we will be checking. And then you also need to go over to the Whiskey Cove's website. The link is in the description, and then sign up for one of those free lottery ticket entries. Duplicate entries will be deleted, and FAQs are down in the description for this video. The 4 bottles that we have: Early Times Bottled in Bond, the George Foreman version, Old Forester Single Barrel Strength Bourbon, and then OWA 107, and then Willet Green 4-year rye. We will be adding another 2 as we get to 4,500 and then 5,000 subscribers, and then we'll do the 5,000 subscriber giveaway live, and then we'll pull the names. I have a system set ready to go, and it will be the fairest system that we have. So let's get these out of here, and then let's get into today's review. So yes, we are reviewing Shenks Homestead Kentucky Sour Mash Whiskey. It is interesting to note that it does say Kentucky Sour Mash Whiskey, not bourbon. The bomb burgers that we have here is a bourbon, Kentucky straight bourbon, so that's definitely of note, so we need to keep that in the back of our mind here. If you haven't seen our bomb burgers review, I can tell you now it's one of the most fun reviews I've ever done, and you definitely have to go and check it out there, because that thing got a hell of a score. But we don't want to spoil that. Go and check that video out first, because we will be making comparisons in some aspects throughout this video here. So this bottle here, like I said, it is a Kentucky Sour Mash Whiskey. The bomb burgers is about 54% ABV, and the Shenks comes down a little bit because this is coming in 45.6%. So it's a little bit less on the old ABV there. Well, that translates to 91.2 proof. And then also, this is bottle number 1274 of 2815. Batch 23D, the dog 1493. Distilled and bottled in Kentucky, Louisville, to be specific. So Shenks was a name that is built into Michters history, much like bomb burgers there. If you haven't read the story about Shenks, I'm not going to go into it with too much detail, but go over to the Michters website or just Wikipedia it, and you can kind of read it at your own leisure there as well. So just reading the back kind of label here, kind of has like a Tuscan square label. Shenks Homestead Sour Mash Whiskey honors the legacy of American whiskey figure John Shenk, who in 1753 founded a distillery that was become known as Michters in the 20th century. Please join us in toasting and celebrating American whiskey history here. So just looking at the bottle as a whole, it does have like that Italian Tuscan kind of wallpaper background on the square here. Nice orange yellow ribbon running through it, and a cool little batch number. I always like these batchy kind of small batch numbers. It kind of makes the bottle pop a little bit, but all in all, it kind of looks like a bit of a cheap wine bottle. The bottle itself has a nice orange label that makes you aware that this has not been opened before. Let's go in for a bottle cork, a bottle pop. Very loud, hitting those high keys. Sustained on the second one. It is a traditional real cork, so kudos to that, Michters. We always appreciate that. And then let's get this whiskey into the glass here. We are using the Whiskey Cove Space-side taster embroidered with our logo. If you sign up for the free giveaway, be sure to check out the shop there, where you can find some of the most competitive prices on whiskey glasses, premium whiskey glasses that there are out there. I challenge you to find somewhere cheaper. I honestly will. Comes with free postage and packaging. So just looking at this whiskey in the glass here, it is orangey. Does have that traditional hot copper hue, kind of like you're looking into a really shiny copper mash tin. Copper mash tin? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. The copper Distillery mashed tin, like they have in the distilleries, like a really nice shined up one. All those old kind of copper bracelets that some people used to wear back in the day here. The viscosity, it looks a little thin if I'm completely honest. Maybe that's expected with the ABV. Should have high water compared to a higher proof one, but it does look a little bit thin. That sometimes can transition over to the mouthfeel, but not always. Yeah, a little bit of burnt honey, kind of golden amber, golden lager looking color there as well. So with that being said, let's go in for a nose on the 2023 Shenks release from Michters. Definitely not as pungent as its brother or sister in the Bombergers. Again, a beautiful orange honeysuckle note, so orange citrus, and then the honeysuckle type of flower note. Beautiful baked pastry, like a vanilla Danish, you know, like the brown vanilla Danishes, like the vanilla custard in the middle with that white icing sugar, kind of white kind of, yeah, I guess icing sugar drizzle on the top. Some of those vibes. Very pleasant wood note that's there as well, like a toasted cedar. It's really nice. It's not as punchy, but it's definitely there and it combines the flavors and balances them out really well. There's a little bit of spice there, maybe like a horseradishy, burny spice on the nose, but yeah, you have to go rooting for it a little bit. Maybe that's some rye here on this whiskey. It is very soft. I think that's a really good description for this whiskey. Pillowy soft, if you like. You've had a hard day, you've taken a shower, you go to lay in bed, and your significant other, if you have one, has changed the bed sheets, and they've used like a big vanilla detergent. Put your head on the pillow, you're really tired, it's just really soft, really comfortable, and it has a really nice smell, but not too overpowering, is what I was trying to get at there. Really weird descriptor, I know, but maybe you can cast your mind to that place. Beautiful caramel appley sweetness as well, like those caramel apples on a stick. Enough talking about the nose, let's go in for a taste here. Much like the nose, it is also soft on the palate. The thinness of how it looked in the glass didn't translate over to the palate. It's actually quite nice and quite oily and just pleasant as it sits in your mouth. So there's this drink that is available in the UK, specifically Scotland. It's called Iron Brew, and I'll put a picture on the screen here. This is like orange soda, and it kind of has some of those vibes with it here as well. It's as I'm tasting it through my mouth, you get that like vanilla caramel sweetness punch right at the beginning there as well. Maybe a little bit of fig there as well, like a baked fig or a sun-dried fig if you like. It doesn't then delve too much down the darker toasted rabbit hole. It kind of stays away from that, and it's more of like ice cream vanillas, orange creamsicle type of flavors, I guess is the best way. Like orange sorbet, it is a flavor that I can associate with this. Very citrus forward, which is very nice there as well. Let's go in for another taste here. A little bit more citrus is coming through at the second pass. Maybe like some sort of like a lemon bar as well, with those vanilla pastry notes and that lemon flavor with the icing sugar there. At the back end, there is something going on there, and it's almost like a little bit of a bitterness, and I can't quite pull out what it is. I think it might be, maybe like a tobacco note at the end there, like a chewing tobacco note, unflavored, that has like a spice and then a bitterness there as well. It's right at the back end, and it hits you deep down in like the hiding corners of your mouth there. It could also be like an oaked aspect to this as well. I think I'm gonna go with tobacco because it is a little bit spicier then. And as that note hits, you do get a tingling of spice across the front there. So that probably is the right spice that is definitely kicking up there. Mouthfeel on this is fantastic, like I said. Nose is really great, but it's just not a punchy whiskey. I wonder what this would be like if it was higher ABV, because I personally think that this would probably do a little bit better at, say, 50 to 55% ABV, because it is 45.6, and maybe that bitter nose gets a little bit more pronounced at the back end at a higher ABV, so maybe that's why they tailed that off there as well. But I do believe it would do better at that ABV level. So what we like to do, we like to give this a value for money score out of A through F, and then a score out of 100. So value for money. So for me to obtain this whiskey, I paid $130 for it. I actually paid $130 for the Bomb Burgers at a store for MSRP in Colorado. I didn't buy this from a store. I really wanted this bottle, so I went through other means to get it. So $130 shipped. Was like an extra, say, $7, $10, because I actually bought a backup for the Bomb Burgers alongside this. So about $135 that I paid for this. So when I saw that price point, I was like, well, they were selling it here in Colorado at stores for $130, then plus tax. So that was definitely a buy from me, which is why I bought it. MSRP on this in Colorado is about $130, but I've seen in other states, it's still actually around about 100, maybe a little bit less. So we will judge it at that value. That proof kind of lets it down for me, if I'm completely honest. I'm going to say value for money. I'm going to give this a C. I think almost, we don't really do C minus is a plus, but if we did, I would say this would be a C minus. I think when you're paying $100, you expect maybe a little bit more. That's not saying that this whiskey is a bad whiskey, but it needs to be $100 whiskey, and I don't quite know if it's that. It doesn't hit that number for me personally. So we like to do the 0 to 100, 0 being the worst and 100 being the best. So hopefully by now you've watched the Bomb Burgers video, and we give that like a 96, 97 maybe out of 100, which is insane because that was such a great bottle of whiskey. And I had high hopes for this, and it was maybe because of those high hopes that it hasn't delivered. So I think score out of 100, I'm going to give this 70. I'm going to give it 70 out of 100. That's not a bad score. That's not a good score. It's not an okay score. It's better than okay. I wish that it was more closer to 80, and I think that it has the potential to be an 80 whiskey. It's just the proof is just not there, and that bitterness, flavor notes kind of took some points off for me personally. But 70 is still an excellent score. Just a little bit let down by it compared to the Bomb Burgers. However, we now have this in our collection, have this at the drinking bar here alongside the Bomb Burgers, which both of them I've been looking up for quite a while, so I'm happy that I was able to get both of them here. If you want a recommendation of which one to buy, if you like maybe a little bit more spice and a lower proof whiskey, go for the Shenks. If you like a truly amazing bottle, just like toasted barrel charred notes, huge maple syrup, kind of dark chocolate cherry, brownie, fudgy, whatever adjectives you want to use, go to the Bomb Burgers, because that's probably one of my favorite whiskeys this year. So if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button, because that will help us get closer to the 5,000 subscriber mark, and then I can stop pimping out the lottery bottles, which I'll continue to do. Let's get to 5,000 and then we'll change that up a little bit. So as we drink through the world's whiskies, one glass at a time, Shenks, was just okay. Cheers.